episode 3 of the revived SkyTemple podcast. My name is Yakumon, as always, coming from the east coast of Australia, and today my guest is HappyLappy, creator of Guardian of the Hidden Land. Unlike most of the other hacks featured on the SkyTemple podcast, this one is a puzzle hack where you carefully plan your way through a dungeon floor using the items and mechanics to get to the goal, which is still the stairs. It is also a story hack as well that serves to be the prequel of Explorers of Sky that focuses on the Hidden Land's eventual guardian, Lapras. You'll find all the other Time Gear guardians in there as well, the Lake Trio and Ditto as well. They're all in there. I had a lot of fun playing it. It took me a lot of time to play it actually, which is why this episode has taken a little bit longer to get out. But we need more long hacks in this community anyway. I know from looking in the SkyTemple server and elsewhere on the internet that this hack has had a lot of traction since part 1 release through various YouTubers and the like, and it was great to speak with HappyLappy to get his insight into this very different of hacks. So, welcome to the SkyTemple podcast, HappyLappy. Just to be clear, your favourite Pokemon is Lapras?
Yes.
Yes, because I was just having a look at the SkyTemple Discord just before, and someone thought it was Mew, and your profile picture, and I actually thought your profile picture was Aurorus or whatever. I don't know which one it is. On my post Gen 4 Pokemon knowledge is a little bit off, but it's either one.
Yeah.
There's like a pre-Evo, isn't there? It's one of those two.
Amora, I believe. I couldn't spell it for you, but I know how it's pronounced.
Amora, that's it. Because I know there was Amora on the High Seas, which was an early hack jam hack from a few years ago. But that's what it reminded me of. Because I've seen Aurorus like briefly, maybe at a distance when I played New Pokemon Snap. I sort of haven't gotten to that area, but this is a wonderful start already. We should actually say that we're talking about Guardian of the Hidden Land, not profile pictures on the SkyTemple Discord.
One thing I would like to say, the name is Guardian of Hidden Land. There is no "the" in there. However, I honestly don't care much. I'm just glad that people are talking about it.
Well, yes, we'll get to that later on in the questions, because your hack has been quite the popular one. Whether by design or through sheer promotional power that I never was able to harness. But yeah. Anyway, let's get into some questions. And really, the first question I want to ask is, this is how I've written it: puzzles. Why?
Well, honestly, before I started doing anything PMD related, I was a part of the Mario Maker community, right? I did puzzles there, although they weren't really as appreciated as some of my other content, but that's another story. But I decided, I'm pretty good at this puzzle thing. Maybe I can do something with it in PMD.
Nice, yeah. Well, I mean, we've had a few puzzle hacks already. I know the Fragment series that used to be available, that was certainly puzzles. I know Strung Up by Sketches has puzzle elements of it, but this one really takes it to the next level. If you haven't played it, and quite honestly, there have only been a few people who I think haven't played Guardian of the Hidden Land, given how many playthroughs I've seen of it. So I mean, I guess that leads me to my next question, and I think I might know the answer to this already, but did the idea to make a puzzle hack come before you came up with the story, or did you have this story idea first and gone, oh, this could be a great way of making a puzzle hack out of it?
I'd be surprised to hear that it was a story hack first and a puzzle hack second.
Right.
I definitely wanted to do a puzzle hack at some point, but I didn't think this was the one until, well, I got into it.
Mm.
I thought, okay, maybe I'll make a puzzle dungeon, and there'll be at least one puzzle dungeon is what I was going with, and then it became two, and now there are three. Um, there's the third one isn't out yet, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. So I guess what sort of sparked that? Like playing around with Sky Temple. Did you just see, oh, there's so much versatility here, or like what sort of, when did sort of the penny drop of like, wow, this, pushing the dungeon engine to do something completely different to what the PMD dungeon crawling formula is, like playing around with Sky Temple for the first time, and then it's sort of, yeah, that creative process, I suppose.
Okay. Well, before I even started, I had played Must Escape. That is a big inspiration for the hack. Um, but um, I discovered fixed rooms. I I love it. I can just sort of drag things around. It's just like Mario Maker. I can put a thing where I want it, and then I can save it and try it. You know, it, it's it was very intuitive to me how that worked, and I don't know, some of that experience must have translated.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. So, I guess, so the dungeons themselves, at least in the first two dungeon puzzles, you've marketed it as escape room puzzles. I don't know. I think you said that might be a little bit of a stretch, but essentially, there's sort of that. But so, I guess, did you have any other ideas for dungeon puzzles before you landed on the type that you landed on?
Well, I mean, the whole escape room terminology was pretty new. I'm pretty sure that Freeze AI was the one who came up with that first,
Mm.
when they did their playthrough. To me, it is just a puzzle hack. I feel like I'm still experimenting with that quite a lot.
Mm.
Um, ultimately, the goal of every dungeon floor is just get to the stairs.
Mm.
But how can I make that as interesting as possible?
Mm. Mm.
Right, the stairs is the predetermined endpoint.
Yeah.
You place the player at some predetermined start point. Everything else is just items, walls, um, terrain tiles. The styles, it feels sort of just intuitive, I think.
Mm. Yeah. No, that
Does,
makes
does that
sense.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. Look, it's your podcast. You can, as I said to Smingle and Eventide, Team Eventide. I think it's your podcast. You can answer however you want. All
All
right.
right.
Yeah. No, I did have a lot of fun playing the hack though. Really, really interesting to see the ways that you kind of, like, just seeing just how different PMD can be pushed. And I mean, I've seen it before with, like I said, fragments and strung up by sketches, but I feel like this is a completely unique hack, and there's just like there's certain elements, I suppose, gameplay elements that you sort of don't really. I didn't even realize PMD had, to be honest. But
Yeah. I've
yeah.
heard a lot of people say, I've never used the curve band before. Well, now you have.
Yes, yes. I think, especially me. I think we determined very early on how you can play through PMD and ignore 90% of the items, and you can still beat Darkrai. I mean, even me outing myself as a person who doesn't engage with the IQ skills. Uh, oh, awesome. Um, so I guess there are three different, I guess, I don't know what you'd call them, but I guess dungeon Pokemon types in the Hidden Land. There's you got Bronzor, which has the mechanic of Mirror Coat at its basic level. I know that then it gets shaken up in the different dungeons, but you have Bronzor
Yeah.
with Mirror Coat. You have Bastille Dawn that can break through um, walls if it gets hit with a blowback orb. And then you have Rampardos, which chases you around, and it's like a game of tag, except the attack it has is called one shot, and the spite animation comes up. It looks very, it's a bit scary actually. I say that in jest,
Yeah.
but but I guess
Told that, I'm
sorry.
told that a lot of people have started to fear Rampardos because of the hack.
Yes, well, I actually found Rampardos the trickiest one to get right. I think the puzzles with Rampardos in them, I think they required a bit more lateral thinking. I think, which was really interesting. But um, I guess why those Pokemon and what made you think of those mechanics? I suppose.
All right. So first of all of these Pokemon are regular encounters inside of Hidden Land or Temporal Tower.
Hmm.
Um, so that was my pool of Pokemon to choose from. I wanted the Pokemon to be native to their relative areas. Um, and as for the mechanics, well, I mean, Bronzor is a mirror. It is a mirror. Like that is the type of Pokemon it is. And I thought it'd be really cool if we could like use it almost like you know how like in a Zelda puzzle where you have like the mirrors and it's reflecting light.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
I
what
know
I
what
was
you mean.
trying to get. I was trying to get that out of Bronzor,
Mm.
and I think that worked well with being able to reflect orbs. Rampardos, I mean, it, it is it hit hard. That is what it do. It has a high attack stat. I figured, well, I could see it just like you know smashing you on the head, you'd be done. Uh, and then for Bastiodon, I don't know, it looked kind of like a bulldozer.
Yeah, that makes. I mean, it does make sense, but I guess I just wanted to see if there was any like I don't know hidden meaning to, or I suppose. How long did it take to get those puzzles right, both technically, like from a technical perspective, as in like coding it and all that, and then from a gameplay perspective, like how did you go? Just how long? Well, how long did it take to get right? I think that's just my question.
All right. So starting off, it doesn't take me long to make a first draft for a puzzle. I might do one, maybe two a day. But after I have that draft, I've got to play it. I play it. I play every puzzle myself at least 10 times.
Mm,
Right. I go through it, and then when I'm done with it, when I'm satisfied, I will open play testing for the puzzle. Right.
mm.
And then Sergey will go through it, and then other people will go through it. Sergey will find 5 bugs, and then I will fix those. It's an iterative process.
Yeah.
It takes me a month to make it. It takes me a day to come up with the puzzle, and then a month to solidify it into something that's actually fun to play.
Mm.
So, you know, and I can do multiple. I can have multiple puzzles like play tested at the same time, right? Like if I can release 8 puzzles and then say, "All right, let me know what you think," and then I'll get 3F should really be before after 5F because 5F uses a mechanic that
Mm.
right.
Yeah.
Sometimes the puzzle order I write them in is not the actual order that they should be in.
Right.
Right. I don't. It's difficult to design easiest to hardest,
Mm.
and often the difficulty is subjective anyway.
Yes, and I mean, I think speaking of difficulty, I think it is good too that you do have you give the player every opportunity to experience the puzzle, but not in a way that I guess can frustrate a player, if that makes sense. Like you have sort of the hints given by the various test makers. Well, it's Mesprit in the first one, and then you have both Azelf and Uxie, which we'll get to the story. I mean, I haven't touched on the story at all, but Azelf and Uxie with the Temporal Tower ones, and then of course dungeon solutions you provide. You also have skip floor mechanics. So yeah, like, did you originally plan to always have this accessible, or were people coming back to you going, "This is too hard. I need help." And I guess the fear being that, oh, no one's going to complete my hack because it's too hard.
Um, well, I didn't initially plan on having like the whole um, skip floor solution stuff, but definitely puzzle hints were intended from the beginning.
Mm.
I can't be there to give hints for every player as much as I really want to. But I've learned that sometimes you need to give. Sometimes your way of thinking as the puzzle creator is nothing like the way that the person who's playing it is thinking.
Yeah.
There are definitely gaps in like, I didn't know you could use a key on an ally. Why would I ever know that? Well, you haven't spent 10 years or 10 hours fiddling with puzzle mechanics now, have you?
Yeah.
With the solutions and stuff, and the skips, that was definitely something that was that a playtester mentioned, and I thought, yeah, it's a really good idea. I'm going to figure that out, and that ended up working really well, I think.
Mm. Yeah. I guess just as a bit of just a impersonal indulgence question. Have you seen how the Professor Layton series handles puzzles and stuff?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've actually played a few Professor Layton games before,
Mm.
um, and I really like how they have like stored puzzles that like they're optional puzzles you can miss, and then you can go back somewhere and play them later,
Yeah.
or replay any puzzle whenever you want,
Mm.
which is why I've done that for my hack.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Layton was also a big inspiration. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's yeah. I mean, I love the Layton series. A bit of a different style to puzzles to Guardian of the Hidden Land, but yeah. Can I just say, as a personal fan of the Layton series, who have played all six games and the terrible spin-off, um, I'm so looking forward to the Switch game that is, I presume, still in development.
I,
It's like it'll be like the redemption game that if anyone who has the few Leighton fans that remained after the when the spin-off came out, that was at level five's lowest point when they blew all their money on Yokai Watch. Anyway, that's for a different podcast. You can hear. I'll dedicate an entire Sky Temple podcast episode to just how much Level Five screwed up the Leighton series. I won't go further anymore.
Please tell me that the spin-off was not the Phoenix Wright crossover, because that
No,
was
no,
awesome.
no. It was what they tried to do was they tried to do like a soft reboot
Oh,
of
yeah.
it was it was the one with Leighton's daughter, and then Professor Leighton was missing, and there was just no plot to it. There was no resolution. I think they were trying to make a new series out of it. There was an anime even, and then yeah, it was the anime plot was just as ridiculous as well. Anyway,
Interesting.
I think that'll be deemed non-canon. So I'm on a roll with the puzzle questions. I may as well keep going with them. Actually, most of my questions are about the puzzles, which, to be fair, it is a puzzle hack. But I'll make sure I
Yeah.
ask questions about the story. Don't worry. But the dungeon puzzles aren't the only elements in the current demo part one, whatever you want to call it, of your hack. There are also sort of two tests that are in between the dungeon, well, after the dungeon puzzles. It's a fight between Groudon and Kyogre, with Uxie controlling Groudon as he would later on in Explorers of Sky, and then you have Lapras controlling Kyogre through some lovely psychic shenanigans. So it's a battle between Groudon and Kyogre, and that. And then the final one is a memory quiz by Ditto, which you may remember from special episode, the Team Charm one. I forget. I think it's number 4. So I guess Uxi's test first with the Groudon and Kyogre. What was your thinking behind that?
All right. So both of those tests, Uxie and Ditto, they're sort of breaks between the puzzles, right?
Yeah.
I don't want just cutscene and just puzzle. I want something else to like sort of, be both like light comic relief and also just something to do besides, bang your head into puzzles, which has its own charms, but is gets grading after 8, 16, 24 puzzles. So for Uxie's trial specifically, I thought it was really cool that like I could give justification behind the whole Groudon thing. That's more of a story thing. But the boss fight was sort of just a logical conclusion of the story rather than some sort of more mechanical thing. I needed a filler slot, and this made perfect sense.
Yeah. I ended up winning that battle myself, but do you have to win to progress, or is it just you get more money if you win?
If you lose, then a menu pops up saying the plot can continue even if Lapras loses, and allows you to retry with easy mode, or retry or give up.
Right.
And Ditto's quiz will remember which one you choose.
Yes. I was going to ask about Ditto's quiz actually, because again, my post Gen 4 knowledge is quite poor, but I have seen bits and pieces of the other games. Was that inspired by the quiz in Scarlet Violet? I think isn't there a quiz before you get to the Elite Four?
Yes, that is the inspiration. However, there is 1 second.
Cool. Just a quick interruption here. Don't worry, I'm not starting to incorporate sponsors like every other podcast. I just wanted to note for the next question, there is a visual element to this. So if you're listening to this in the background, you might want to take a look at the YouTube video for a few minutes.
Here it is. Well, this was the direct inspiration.
Hold on, I shall watch that, and I might play that too for people at home.
Okay. But the idea of like the Clodsire with the glasses on, that is something I wanted to do, and luckily Jafane was able to help with that, and also with the table.
Right.
$30.
Yeah. So does she have Clodsire in the game, or was that just because of the video?
Clodsire is one of her Pokemon, yes.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm asking real dumb questions here because I have not.
It's okay. There's good reasons not to play Scarlet Violet.
For one, there's no Chimchar in the base Paldean Dex.
Yeah, that would do it.
But yeah, so now that makes sense. That is actually quite funny. Actually, I do like Clodsire, like just as a general Pokemon. They're just, I think they're actually funnier than Quagsire, to be honest, because they just look like they're just loafs in mud.
Yes.
Awesome. No, but that's real good though. I think I really like the memory quiz, by the way. That was I know quizzes and memory and just general trivia are fun for me. So although I will say, full disclosure, I have this 10 terabyte hard drive, and because it is 10 terabytes, it does go to sleep if it's not active. And so while I store my save files, I recently switched to Melon from OpenEmu, which was the Mac version, because I've got a Mac. Don't throw your tomatoes at the screen, because I won't be able to feel them. But a byproduct of that is because the game isn't constantly saving itself. The hard drive went to sleep, and when I went to save, it didn't. The game emulator said that it saved, but I think because the hard drive was still asleep and hadn't woken up properly, I lost my save. So I did have to, unfortunately, experience the quiz a little bit differently, but that was still very fun. I still very much liked it, and I like Ditto as a character too. Like just because one thing to point out, which I think I did in my intro, I pre-recorded afterwards, so I may be contradicting myself here, but the one thing about the Guardian of the Hidden Land hack is it's a prequel, right? It's a prequel set hundreds of years in the past, and so the characters are very different in their personalities to what you see in Explorers of Sky. How did you sort of come up with those sort of personalities? I suppose.
Well, Lapras doesn't really have one yet. They're um, you might disagree with me on that, but I haven't really thought too much about Lapras's characterization at
Hmm.
all. Um, but the Lake Trio, I tried to age them back a bit, make them younger, some of them more naive, and um, you know, I tried to give them traits that were less serious guardian and more you know the legendary Pokemon that they represent, right?
Yeah.
Uxie is the Pokemon of knowledge; they know things.
Mm.
Mesprit is the Pokemon of emotion; they should be very emotional. Azelf is the Pokemon of willpower; they do/make things.
Mm.
And Ditto is just comic relief. I mean, he's great.
Ditto is a great Ditto. See, for us old folk, right, that were here before Gen 5, Ditto was the original Zoroa, right? It was the Ditto was the original Master of Illusion. And it's quite actually quite funny though how then there's never seemed to be a consistent consensus on whether Ditto can mimic Pokemon exactly or whether it has those little Ditto eyes and so you can tell if I know I think there's both. I think both are canon. I mean, I know there are plushes that you can get of Ditto form starters, but yeah, Ditto is an awesome Pokemon, and I think the original Zoroa, and I think better than Zoroa. um,
Yes, I agree.
there we go. We have a 100% agreement. Send your complaints to nobody because I won't be listening. All right. I've been waffling on too much, but let's keep going. And we've talked about the plot and the characterization and all that. So, was that easier or harder to come up with than the puzzles? And what did you enjoy more?
Some of them were easier, but some of them were significantly harder.
Mm,
Like individual characters, right?
mm,
I had a pretty solid vision of what Yuxi would look like.
mm,
I mean, unchanged, but probably a lot nicer. Um, uh, more reliant on others is how
mm,
I would describe Yuxi. Um, and Mesprit sort of also came a bit naturally. As Elf, I had no idea what to do with willpower. I
mm,
mean, what is a will-powered Pokemon? I mean, is it is it angry? Is it impetuous?
mm.
Is it thrill-seeking? I didn't know, but after a bit of discussion and hack ideas, we were able to. I was able to figure something out.
Mhm.
And
And I guess I guess too when the plot itself being a prequel to EOS being and focusing on the guardians that defend the time gears. Was that your first story idea? Was that not a story you've been wanting to like? Was it like you had this story idea and then you saw SkyTemple and thought, wow, I could actually make this a thing? Because that's kind of how it was with Retold in a way. But was
Not
this
at all, no. Um, what happened was I saw SkyTemple. I said, I want to make a ROM hack. What do I want to do? And I thought, what would be an easy like little tutorial training wheel hack? If I just do something with the Explorers of Sky assets, right? Let's focus on a base character from Explorers of Sky, so I don't have to do much editing and cutscenes. I don't have to do much dungeon editing. It'll all be very simple. And then it grew into this.
Yeah. And to be fair, that's how a lot of people start. That's kind of what my thought process was with Retold. I mean, I had a whole pre-written, unreleased kind of fan fiction-y type manuscript that I had. Funnily enough, I finished that I finished the Darkrai arc about 6 to 9 months before I found SkyTemple, and so it's like, well, here we go again. I can make this reality because I thought that okay, I've written it down now. My 12-year-old headcanons that they can live forever, and then yeah. But yeah, that's great advice really for anyone that maybe is listening, because this is going on YouTube, so this is not just exclusively for SkyTemple people. If you want to experiment with SkyTemple, just use the base assets. Don't do something ambitious first. Just see what you can do with it.
Yeah. And, maybe it'll grow ambitious over time. Maybe you'll spend $30 on a table. I mean, what?
Don't worry. I've spent money on commissions as well for stuff. Those background arts for Darkrai's Revenge, they were worth it. So I guess, as you know, and I know, and most of the people who've played it know, that this is only part one. It is an incomplete game at the moment. But can you give us a hint as to what to expect from the rest of the hack? Like more puzzles, different puzzles, something different altogether?
Yeah. So the plan is that I'm going to sort of follow the same chapter structure as chapter one, but with new gimmicks in new dungeons, right? So there will be Bronzor, Rampardos, and Bastiodon will be gone, right? And there will be 3 to 4 new Pokemon for the, say, Brine Cave arc, for example. And I think I'm comfortable sharing this much, that there will be a Kingler that can throw pickaxes from Fortune's Vault.
Yes, Fortune's Vault. Shout out to Fafnir for that hack. I haven't played it myself. I have had no time really. That's why I'm doing this podcast. It gives me an excuse to play hacks.
There you go.
And one last question that I actually didn't write down, and I can't believe I forgot to write it down because I did say we were going to talk about it. But just tell us just how much you've been promoting this hack, because when I first made Retold, I was known as the Shilling King. I inserted Chimchar into every conversation in SkyTemple, ironically, but then it kind of became unironically, and then it became a server meme. And then like Retold, I promoted it everywhere and anywhere and all that. But you have something that people can play, which means that you have had actual streamers play your hack. I guess just talk about that. Like just how many, like I think you shared with me, like there's like been 4 or 5 people either on Twitch or on YouTube that have played your hack. Like how does that feel?
It's going up to 6 now.
Oh, 6.
Somebody played it since the last time you asked me.
Right. That's really cool.
It's more of a meme than anything else. I've just sort of been promoting it in the SkyTemple Discord. I haven't really said much outside of it.
That's what I was doing.
Whenever somebody says, "Hey, I'm looking for a hack to play that has insert thing here," I'll find a way to twist it into Guardian of Hidden Land has those things.
Yes.
Because it kind of does. If you really think about it really, really, really hard and ignore everything else about the game, it does. It does fit those obscure descriptions. But as for the whole streamer aspect, I when I told one of my friends who streams, "Hey, I'm releasing this this ROM hack," they said, "Awesome, I'll play it on stream." And I said, "Wait, really? Awesome, go right ahead." And then they played it, and then they sent it to somebody who had 10 times the view count of them, and I was like, "What? What? Thank you. What did you? Wow, okay." And then Freeze AI started playing the hack.
Yeah.
And thousands of people saw Guardian of Hidden Land on their YouTube recommended.
Yeah, hitting that YouTube algorithm it is something that it's has no rhyme or reason. I remember the very first podcast episode that Max and I did just hit the lottery, and then it had like 90 views ever since. But yeah, it's just I mean that's how other like I know that's how Heaven and Hell got really big in the sort of the quality of life balance hack type thing, and sort of overshadowed the others. It just hit the YouTube lottery, and it's both a blessing and a curse, right? Because sometimes there are some really awesome hacks that get promoted, but then there are also some really awesome hacks that can get buried by it just through Google's mysterious algorithms. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I think it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, you know, it's really something, really something. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. All right. That's the end of my questions, but I'm on to, in a minute, going to do quite possibly my new favorite part of the podcast is the audience questions. You never know what the
oh
audience is going
good,
to say. I
we'll
think
get to see
some
what Chestion said.
Yes, yes, and it is something that I know I know is not just a meme that I feel like, oh, I can't do this, and then I got to do it anyway. But all right, I'll do my little music interstitial here. And then we shall start. Welcome back, even though it's been 5 seconds here, but probably 30 seconds for you listening at home. Um, all right, so we have a good selection of questions. First one comes from Roku Zero. What motivated you to expand on Lapras and the Time Gear Guardians story?
I like Lapras. I like Gen 4. Um, honestly, the entire motivation for me making this hack was Lapras is a really cool Pokemon. It should have gotten more screen time. Let me do that.
Mm-hmm.
That
That is
that's that's how it happened.
all right. Um, I think I might have asked this question already, but I don't mind asking it again because you can say more if you want to. But Espic, who has sent in a few questions already, how long does it take to make a puzzle and ensure everything works properly? I think you already addressed this, but uh, yeah, feel free to say anything extra if you like to.
Yeah, so some puzzles come out really well, others not so much. 6F, Zelf Tower. But some of them, it's an iterative process. It's more than just me sitting at my computer doing SkyTemple. I have to actually go out and like ask people to play test them for because just because I can do the puzzle isn't enough. Somebody has to be able to pick it up with rudimentary knowledge of Guardian of Hidden Land and be able to do it. Right? It can't be unfair or obtuse. It needs to make sense. So that often that takes 3, 4, 5 rounds of play testing,
Mm.
and that can take months. Maybe that can take months. I
Mm.
mean, I can't say it's taken a year because I haven't been working on the hack for a year yet. but it will at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, and I think you even make reference to it in the hack itself, is that each puzzle is designed to only have one intended solution, and so you're really trying to eliminate what you call cheese. And I know in the final dungeon of Mesprit's test that there is a reference if you do um, if you do complete that dungeon with one less item than intended, and I think there's a funny little reference of let's just trash that orb that we didn't use so Uxie doesn't get mad.
Yeah.
uh, awesome. All right.
Finding that cheese and deciding whether or not it's worth patching is also a whole other thing. I mean, I know of cheese on 1F of Azelf's floor, right? Or Azelf's puzzle, right? You can get by with an extra snatcher orb. And that's fine. I mean, if you really micromanage your 3 to 4 turns, power to you. You get to see the Azelf will congratulate you and then take your orb. But if you're skipping 90% of the puzzle just because you found something I didn't think of, that's not staying.
No. All right. Cool. Next question from long-time hacker, first-time question asker Mond, who, if for those who don't know, is the creator of Explorers of Alpha, which is probably the most definitive. I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's probably a cross between a quality of life and balance hack. It's meant to be the ultimate Explorers of Sky hack. I think you'd agree, Lappy, on that one.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's definitely definitive is definitely what it's aiming for. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Mond asks, what ultimately motivated you to work on a gameplay puzzle-centric hack in a modern community that advertises almost exclusively story hacks?
Well, I don't think of my hack as exclusively gameplay, although there is a significant gameplay element to it.
Mm-hmm.
I am still making a unique plot, but I feel like that the gameplay is definitely alien to the community. I brought that from elsewhere, and that's sort of why I'm doing it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this earlier in the stream, but if I weren't making Mario Maker puzzle levels, I probably wouldn't be making puzzles here.
I was going to say, just out of again curiosity, you say that your puzzle levels in Mario Maker weren't as appreciated as the other levels. What sort of other stuff did you make in Mario Maker?
Let's showcase levels, right? I mean, I could provide some links to that, but like people like the flashy stuff.
Right.
Oh wow, we can make the thwomp vibrate really like back several blocks in a matter of frames. Wow, we can now speed up projectiles with that. Cool, we can make fireballs go zoom across the screen.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's not. It was fun, but it was less fun than actually using the mechanics I found to make puzzles.
Yeah, that's good. I thought it might have been because I wasn't the community very big on like Kaizo impossible levels and stuff.
Yeah, I I participated more in the troll level scene.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of talking about. That sort of stuff. Yeah, those Mario Maker courses I've seen. It is what happens when people go wild with the mechanics, and I think most people, they didn't try to make a game, they just tried to make the hardest challenge possible. All right. Next question that comes from Donosaur, who is I have seen on the Discord server, so hello to you. They ask, how did you come up with the puzzles idea?
Let's see. I feel like I've answered that one a few times, but let me see.
Potentially.
I guess how did I come up with the idea of? So I opened Bulbapedia and I saw the list of orbs, right? I've never used most of these in normal gameplay. Why would you ever use a pounce orb, right? But I'm like, huh, that's a really interesting mobility option. And there are a lot of interesting mobility options, right? You got pounce, switcher, blowback, the core of the three things that you're going to really appreciate by the end of Guardian of Hidden Land. But there's all these utility items that do things besides deal damage to foe, and that they're not being used. They should be.
Next question comes from, and this one was a late one, from, well, his Discord name is Bank4269, but I think he goes by, I looked him up, he recently played your hack very, very recently. Ben K on the server. He asks, again, actually, this was Expic's question as well, how much time was spent creating each puzzle? I think you have answered that already. A lot of people were curious about how long it takes you to create the puzzles, probably because they're so interesting and different.
I guess they are, but you never see it. You never see it when you make it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I see. I mean, look, time zones mean that I'm not awake when you're awake, necessarily, but yeah, I do see a lot of a lot of time and effort has gone into your hack, and I think a lot of people have embraced it and wanted to help you, and yeah, community support has been really strong on this hack, I think.
Yeah, it's really good to see. Very supportive community.
All right, next question. And this one's an interesting one. This one comes from HappyLappy. So he asks, I see nothing explicitly barring me from asking myself a question. What inspired the puzzle skip slash replay system, and how does it work? I think I actually asked this already as well. So it shows how much I actually remember the audience questions, so I don't ask them myself. But did you want to talk any more about the puzzle skip replay system? And congratulations on being of gaming the system and asking yourself a question.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say is that there's mechanically to make that menu happen and to store the puzzles, right? That was very technically intense for me, right? It's something like 1,000, 2,000 lines of code just handling, storing the puzzle, replaying the puzzle, checking which puzzles have been stored, running the menu to show the puzzles that have been stored. I mean, it's a very intense system, and I am very glad that Heka showed me how to use it.
Yes, and I got a little glimpse of that when you helped me sort of do a faux restore of my save file. Can we all say thank you to Chinsoft for making um, that completely unnecessary filler of the crystal puzzle in Crystal Cave, because it gives us three perfect dummy variables to use to track things and good old reliable crystal colors. What can I say?
256 different colors of crystals. It's incredible.
Absolutely, I think that's I think a scientist might disagree that there are 256 different colors, although if you walked into a paint shop, I'm sure there are 256 different Pantone colors. So who knows? All good, awesome. Um, all right, Chession, you've been waiting for Chession's question. Very important question.
Yes.
Okay. Um, HappyLappy, your question is, why did you punt Psyduck?
There we go. Okay. So, for a bit of context for everyone who isn't me or Chession, this happened in an Explorers of Void group chat. Let me see if I can. The context isn't too important. But we were talking about the starter list and how Psyduck was on the red and blue starter list, but not in any other game since then. And I said, well, because it was punted off the list, I kicked it off, and that's how that started. However, then somewhere later in that conversation, they said, "But Psyduck can fly," and then I said, "Well, yeah, if I kick it hard enough, it can." There you go,
uh,
Chession.
and Explorers of Void, is that a role play group, or a hack that?
That's an upcoming hack that I'm collaborating on.
Awesome.
It's sort of on standby at the moment, but the premise is sort of um, make Garatina relevant,
Mhm.
um, and also do something with basically something between the player returning, or something between the saving the world and the player returning back home.
Right. And who's working on you with that?
Me, Chession, and I, one second, I should know this. Freak a Nature. That is their name.
Ah,
Freak a Nature.
yep, I've seen them before. Yeah, I think no, that's really looking forward to that. And Chesion, I will say, who's also working on PMD Crowned, you are more than welcome to come onto the podcast when that demo releases. That is our audience questions. Was there anything else that I didn't ask or the audience didn't ask that you wanted to say about your hack?
Well, sure. So that's one chapter of the hack. I plan on doing at least 10,
Wow.
which, the it, it's one chapter is what, 8 hours. So I guess I'm aiming for like a Fire Emblem campaign style of a game.
The community is crying out for longer length hacks at the moment. I mean, the hack camps are great. They get people into hacking and really give people something to work for. But there are very few hacks that are five. Well, I was going to say 10 hours long, but even like 5 hours long. Like there are very few hacks that are longer than 5 hours. I know, Garnier, your hack, I racked up about I can't remember now. I think it was about 8 hours. I know my last count was 6.5, and I had about 3 or 4 of the Azelf puzzles to go. Although, um, like you reminded me, because I am so used to playing on hardware, I forgot, and also Melon is a newer um, one emulator for me. I forgot to use save states, so when I failed at a puzzle, it was like I played it on hardware, so I probably elongated my time out by at least an hour by
Yes.
starting all over again. And if you've seen me play a hack 2, um, sometimes I accidentally press the wrong thing on my keyboard, and finger trouble is a prime reason why I fail at a lot of hacks. Is I don't relax and take my time. I rush through with the button inputs.
Yeah. To address that, I plan on doing some sort of working on replacing the quick save feature with like a save state, so you
Mm,
have at least one slot if you're on like real hardware,
yeah.
where you can just like quick save and then reboot
Mm,
back at where you were.
yeah. All right. Any other closing comments? You want to just free reign. Otherwise, I'll end the episode.
Yeah. I just want to say that this was something I just sort of did on a whim one day, and it grew into something like this. If you're thinking about making a hack, do it. Just give it a shot. You can do anything. Um, and with that, I think I'm done here.
Awesome. Yes. Did you steal that from Mystery Mail? That little last line.
What are you talking about? I would never.
I should interview the Mystery Mail organizers, of which I'm one. So just to talk about the Mystery Mail, that would be funny. We're in the middle, by the way, of Mystery Mail 5, which, despite being a moderator that has all-seeing powers as to what everyone is doing, the submissions happen at 2 a.m. I have a very busy life, so I actually have no idea hardly what's going on. I will be going into the stream just as blind as you guys. All I know is the final scene, and that's it. All right, HappyLappy, thank you once again for being on the podcast.
Of course. I'm glad to be here. Anything to talk about my hack for an hour.
Absolutely. I think you'll agree that Guardian of the Hidden Land is one hack you should put on your must-play list. If it's going to be 10 chapters long, we'll be seeing a lot more of it in the future. Thanks again to HappyLappy for agreeing to do the interview. As for the next episode, I don't have any concrete plans as to who it is yet. I'm awaiting one or two creators who requested that I wait until their demo's released before I interview them, but perhaps there'll be an episode in the meantime, who knows. Until then, it's goodbye for now.